Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Insane Games TV proudly brings to you the greatest wrestling news commentary in the world. You think that's gimmick infringement?
I don't think so at all.
It doesn't matter what you think. This is Wrestling with the Business. Welcome to Wrestling with the Business. We're coming to you from the Insane Games studio here in Saratoga Springs, New York. As always, we're bringing you the ins and the outs, the ups and the downs, the high spots and the chair shots in and around the wrestling business. I'm Matt Lambert, your host. With me are my tag team partners, Adam Perry, Jeremy Bodette, and the GM of Insane Games, Dan Shevlin. Jeremy, let's get right into it. We're going to start out with the SmackDown highlights.
Yes, sir. SmackDown this week. Triple H announced the first picks and is referred to as the man who runs things by Michael Cole. Interesting. The Usos tell everyone that they're getting ghosted by the head of the table. LA Knight goes over Butch from the Brawling Brutes in a very interesting technical match. Paul Heyman threatens the Usos by saying that they will either find refuge in the Island of Relevancy or be banished to the Ocean of Obscurity. RVD and Michael Freeberg Hayes announce round 2 picks. The Street Profits, wearing blue because they were just drafted by SmackDown.
They had no idea where they were going.
Go over LWO and Jacked, Tan, and Juicy. I can't believe I just said that. JBL and Teddy Long announced round 3 picks. For some reason, Teddy Long was announcing for Raw. I don't know. The Viking Raiders get jobbed by the OC and a triumphant return by AJ Styles that seemed to fall flat with the crowd. HBK and Road Dogg announce round 4 picks. Nakamura gets jumped by Karrion Kross backstage in the middle of an interview, and ZKO retains the titles over the Usos in the Night of 1,000 Super Kicks, thereby banishing the Usos to the Ocean of Obscurity for the foreseeable future. Let's move on to Raw. Adam, how was Raw?
Bullshit. It was bullshit. So, Raw, Fort Worth, Texas. We had 6 matches for a grand total of 38 minutes, 39 seconds in a 3-hour wrestling show. So we're doing good here, guys. First match, it didn't even make Hulu. Damage Control versus Live Rod. Damage Control wins, 8 minutes, 5 seconds. Ricochet Braun Strowman versus Alpha Academy. Ricochet Strowman win. 2 minutes, 29 seconds. Matt Riddle versus Usos. Jimmy Uso. 7 minutes, 42 seconds. Riddle wins. Judgment Day versus LWO. Yet again, they make the LWO look absolutely pathetic. With the Judgment Day winning. And of course, it's our 6-man tag that we have to have every week. That made Hulu. Believe it or not. Almost versus Anthony Allens. 49 seconds. Didn't make Hulu. And then, it's Seth Rollins and Solo. Seth Rollins wins by DQ.
Wait. Another Solo Sikoa match ended in DQ?
Yes. Because we have to make him, we have to push him. He's the hot thing right now.
Did not see that coming.
3-hour wrestling show. Barely 40 minutes of wrestling. 3 of the 6 matches didn't even make the Hulu cut. So I watched an hour and a half of people drafting people in a useless draft that's already falling apart onto AEW.
Before we get to AEW, let me ask you both, how much of the show actually built to this weekend's Backlash Premium Live event?
They didn't.
There were some promos, but there was no actual action that built towards it at all.
Sounds like an important show then. All right, on to AEW. I'm not going through match by match. There was some, overall excellent show as usual with AEW. The stuff that stood out though, Saraya and Willow Nightingale had a match, pretty standard as usual. After the match, Hikaru Shida made a return to save Willow from getting beat down by the heels. But as a nice spin on things, Shida teases joining the heels before the babyfaces of Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter come out, and it was all a swerve. The babyfaces finally get over on the heels, laying out the Outcasts. So that was a nice little change from the usual routine. AEW still has trios champions. Sometimes you might forget that. But the House of Black laid out an open challenge to any three-man teams with the caveats that their matches will now have 20 count on the outside, no rope breaks, and DQ is in effect, but the challengers will be able to pick the stipulations of their matches. So something a little different. Should be interesting to see how that goes.
So many rules it'll become irrelevant?
We'll see.
All right.
And the only other thing that was of note on this match was the Pillars tag team match, which is the main event. Excellent match. The heels ended up turning on each other, the new best friends of MJF and Sammy Guevara, which led to the babyfaces winning the match. And lo and behold, the title match at the pay-per-view is going to be a four-way. Who could have seen that coming?
There's a trios title in AEW.
Yeah.
There is. House of
Well,
Black.
why
are
the
champs.
fuck isn't there one of these in WWE?
They don't have enough. They don't have
Every
enough
Raw, there's
championships, you're
a
right.
six-man tag.
No, they don't have enough championships.
I mean, like,
give 'em one more.
there'd be two now.
That's right.
Two, Dan.
One for Raw, one for
Two
SmackDown.
trios champions.
Dan, what's
They
the-
would have to have their own rules, I think. I think the trio belts would have to go from show to show.
Well, I mean, clearly they can't get through a show without a six-man tag, so they should probably just throw some in.
Why not? Dan, what's up with news and highlights for this week?
Well, first off, I got a couple questions on the shows. Triple H, when he came out, did he come out to the ring on SmackDown?
No, there's a little podium off to the side where he did his.
But he came out.
But he came out.
They
played
give
his
they give him a
music.
title card.
I think they announced him as.
Something completely different now.
I think. I don't remember. I honestly don't remember what they announced him as. I should have paid closer
Because that right there just tells you how like just unorganized they are. I'm still completely baffled by that week after WrestleMania. Chief Content Officer, Hall of Famer. They completely just botched that whole thing. Those are the little details you have to pay attention to.
I'm still baffled by the fact that Vince takes over again and he says we're going to do a draft, and no one had the thought to say, look, you simple son of a bitch, we've done this 19 times. It's failed 19th time. It's not going to work for the 20th.
But Adam,
There's your problem, Adam. They've only done 17.
But Adam,
When we get to 19, maybe.
Vince hasn't taken over.
Yeah, that's right.
Don't get ahead of me. My rant is coming up.
So let's go into news and rumors for the week. I'll go right. We talked about it a little bit off the show. The new rule in place now: WWE wrestlers can't take photos of their injuries, or more specific, they can't take any pictures of blood. Did someone do that recently? That's some kind of big
Brett?
thing now.
I'm guessing
Oh,
it has
okay.
to do in AEW. Britt Baker had a black eye and it got turned into a T-shirt. It's just her face with a black eye.
The other thing is, I don't know if maybe it's related to the nasty 14 staples? 14 staples that Finn Balor had, and that was going all over social media because it looks pretty gnarly. So,
It's always the stupid little rules that WWE comes up with. Now that has to be a
AEW is
Vince.
being accused of like perpetuating domestic violence.
Right.
And all this
That's
stuff.
got to be a Vince rule that came down. No pictures of injuries on social media.
I can understand if you make it into a T-shirt and you're profiting, but who cares? And how can you tell people not to post stuff like that on their social media?
Yeah, I know.
Right.
I mean,
Unless I don't know how the whole social media accounts work for WWE. Like if it's the talent's actual account or WWE creates the account for them. There's always been kind of like a little bit of a like back in the day, like they used to have accounts that were kind of WWE created accounts. Like you don't really know. I mean, I guess if you have your own account, you should be able to post whatever you want. I mean, unless it's
Okay.
some
Well,
kind of unless it's in their
Okay, this is what I thought. He was announced as WWE Hall of Famer.
Triple H.
Triple H.
Yeah, so they're not. They can't even give the guy the respect.
That's what I thought.
That is a classic Vince. I do not want the title, or I do not want that title card on his name when he comes
and
out.
that's why Michael Cole had to say, "This is the guy who runs things here."
Yeah,
It's like,
Hall of Famer.
He who says he's king is not king. Like, king of kings.
Another thing we were talking about before the show, and I didn't want to say anything because you were talking about it, and I wasn't gonna let it go. But Charlotte Flair has some comments about doing things outside of WWE.
Yep.
Apparently today, so thinking outside the box and thinking outside of what she may want to do. So I don't know if that's her. It kind of reminds me of the whole CM Punk back in the day when he was starting to get a little fed up with injury. But she's taking a lot of time off. Back in the day, when CM Punk was getting injured, he was getting tired. Like he started to get upset, and which led to the whole, the tone from Charlotte Flair kind of comes off like I can hightail it whenever I want type thing. But she's had a lot of time off for injuries.
To be fair, she's been champion 37 times. She's main evented WrestleMania. So what else is there left for her to do?
I agree.
And she's the only, in my opinion, she's the only woman in the locker room that can lose as well as she wins.
Right.
I mean,
But
she
apparently
can put
her
people
return
over.
is like short term. Like she's due back pretty soon.
Yeah.
AEW canceled both their YouTube shows, apparently in a deal with Warner Brothers for their new show Collision coming out. So it must be Warner Brothers wants to have exclusive content rights to all AEW content, which I don't blame them.
Put it on the Discovery app, please.
AEW, not ROH, though.
Yes,
ROH
Ring of Honor was not included in that. So I guess it's been given to the wrestlers that could be a way to outreach and have content outside of
It's development too. It could be really good development.
Well, the YouTube is a great content. I mean, YouTube channel. That's how even WWE. That's how these wrestlers build an image outside of wrestling. I don't know this. I don't have the stats in front of me, but I'm surprised. You look at like Xavier Woods. He's done a lot with up, down, down. Like he's become, I would say, it's really advanced his popularity from doing things outside of the ring. So to cut down on the YouTube shows, that's giving wrestlers less of an opportunity to brand their image and brand their talent and their character. So I mean, hopefully they come up with something different. CM Punk was at Impact. I don't think we touched base on that. That was after our last show.
Yeah,
I think so.
drama over that.
So he's, I don't know what's going on there. Obviously, CM Punk games.
Impact was in Chicago. He just went backstage.
Bray Wyatt has a new writer that was hired by WWE just for Bray Wyatt. So it must be, I don't know what the whole story is of Bray Wyatt. Maybe there's a little bit of a content dilemma going on backstage, or maybe that's why he's off TV for so long.
Nobody knows how to write for him.
He's like Charlotte Flair in a way. Like, you can't do the same thing over and over and over again. Like, Charlotte Flair just wins the title, has it, and loses it, and it's over. I mean, Bray Wyatt with the whole crazy character development and all that. I mean, how many times are you going to do that? How many times? I mean, it's interesting until he shows up, and then people get tired of it. Conor McGregor, Roman Reigns, rumored for SummerSlam. I guess there's some shit talk going on there on Twitter and calling out Paul Heyman. So we'll be interested to see if that now with the UFC and the whole WWE aligned together. You never know.
I think you could get no championship, but tons of money draw if you did Conor McGregor versus Logan Paul. WrestleMania 40.
Booker T got himself in some controversy ordering some food during
So
NXT.
did Jeremy. Glad you bring that.
Do you want to address our Twitter situation or
bullshit? I posted probably the most non-confrontational thing I've ever posted in my entire life, and thinking that it was like an 80-20. I posted today in response to Booker T confirming that he ordered chicken parmesan from TGI Fridays.
If you want chicken parm, that's where you go.
At the end of
TGI Fridays, they don't fuck around. Let's get food there.
At the end of the NXT taping, a little video leaked of him ordering that, which was kind of funny. And basically, all I said was, "Listen, if the Hall of Famer that's being paid $500,000 a year in order to commentate can't even be bothered to pay attention at the end, then why should the fans?" And I think it's a valid question. I think it's pretty non-confrontational. And I got a crap ton of hate. A man's got to eat. Oh, a man can't eat at work right now. And I guess all I got to say in response to that is, you show me on Twitter, Wrestling with the Business, show me a video of Joe Buck, Bob Costas, any other legitimate commentator in the world of sports or sports entertainment doing something like that. Because I'll bet you they got shredded. I'll bet you won't see it. Troy Aikman at the end of a football game. What? Because all they got to do is kick a field goal and the game's a sure thing over? I don't want to hear it. This is the problem with professional wrestling and the way that it's perceived today. If the people performing do not take it seriously, then why should anybody else? So I think at a minimum, you need to not be on your phone ordering food if you're trying to do commentary for it. And just One last thing for the WWE, I am interested in a commentator job, so you can reach out to me online if by any chance you're interested. So more than happy to do it.
Well, Jeremy, you left the best part of the story out. Is yes, we at Wrestling with the Biz had only 2 minutes prior got the official
Not
blue
2
check.
minutes. Not
got
2
got the blue
minutes.
check mark to make
Okay.
us legit,
We're official.
and he made us the most hated wrestling podcast in the world. Thank you very much, Jeremy.
And if you ain't down with that, we got 2 words for you.
Gimmick infringement all around. Yes.
And last but not least, WWE came out with their Q1 report. The revenue, $297 million, operating income, $53 million.
Live events up massively.
Yeah,
Huge
live events
increase.
up 52%,
Yep.
reflecting a 37% increase in average attendance.
It was all WrestleMania. It was all WrestleMania.
Raw and SmackDown both increased 7%. So, I mean, average 7%. Raw is down 15%. SmackDown is up 6%. So there you go. And then some Fanatics information. Triple H talked about content and how they're building storylines for the future, and not so much what's happening tomorrow or next month, but what's happening a year, 2 years from now. And apparently he said that the whole Sami Zayn being what he is now was planned 2 years ago.
Sure.
Okay,
Sure
that's
it was.
right. Yeah, and a lot of news. We're gonna save it for now, but a lot of news about the draft. But before we go into that, Matt has a lot to say with his.
All right. Layout, boys. It's
Go
going
on
to
the
take a couple
rant.
minutes. So, my rant this week is on the lack of consistency in pro wrestling. Now, this isn't a new thing. We've seen this for years. You go back to the WCW days, and nearly every match, every stipulation, everything had a caveat, and every referee did every match differently. Really, a lot of the referees were made to look like idiots in WCW. But that's a different story. Let's go to a bit more recent history. Go back to 2019. Not a great year for pay-per-views. You guys remember the 2019 Money in the Bank match, men's match? The participants were Baron Corbin, Drew McIntyre, Ricochet, Mustafa Ali, Andrade, Finn Balor, Randy Orton, and Sami Zayn. You guys remember who won that match?
Brock Lesnar.
Brock freaking Lesnar.
Classic
Not-
return.
Not even in the match. Now, you could say there was a storyline issue. Sami Zayn didn't come out to the match. He was injured. He was jumped. Whatever. So you can excuse that. Brock Lesnar was a surprise. Okay. What about the 2019 Hell in a Cell match? Seth Rollins versus The Fiend. You remember how that match ended?
Did Brock Lesnar win?
Close. No.
Damn.
Hell in a Cell has been touted as one of the most dangerous matches of all time.
Yeah.
We've seen tables, chairs, kendo sticks, fire, thumbtacks,
Mick Foley.
off the cage, through the cage. Seth Rollins lost that match by getting disqualified for using a sledgehammer.
Oh, yeah.
You know Triple H was rolling his eyes at that decision.
The greatest finish of all time.
And arguably that killed The Fiend and Bray Wyatt right there. But the latest example of this lack of consistency had to do with this past week's draft. Now, the examples I'm going to bring out here, these aren't new. They have happened in previous drafts, and every time it has been annoying as hell. So let's start with the women's champions. The Raw women's champion, Bianca Belair, got traded to SmackDown. Conversely, the SmackDown women's champion, Rhea Ripley, got traded to Raw.
Hate to see it.
If you want to talk consistency, it's looking like this is going to be the third draft in a row where champions are going to swap the belts. Where's the consistency? Where is the logic in that? When you're talking about history and reigns of these belts, how do you explain this? Let's stick with Rhea Ripley now here for a second. Now, again, SmackDown Women's Champion Rhea Ripley, she was drafted separately from her stablemates of the Judgment Day. They all ended up on the same show, though. However, you talk about the
LWO.
Intercontinental Champion, Gunther.
Yeah, got there.
He got traded with his entire stable of Imperium, all three members.
It's Raw.
Where is the logic in that? Why are some groups getting split up and ending up on the same show anyways, and other groups are getting drafted as a whole bunch. LWO, 5 members all got drafted in one pick.
The OC?
The OC, 4 members.
Rhea Ripley's bigger than the entire faction. That's why.
She's bigger than
Can I add one?
I don't know.
She's bigger than the Intercontinental Champion, though? Why is he not bigger than his faction?
Matter of fact, she just dropped
that
that belt.
She's way more over than the Intercontinental
Okay,
Champion.
I'm talking about the factions themselves, though. What were you going to
Can I
add?
just add the Triple H's title
Triple H's title? Yeah, that's like
when he came out
consistency.
on SmackDown and Raw, both different.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Just point that out.
Yeah.
Couple more things here. So, another group that got split up, the Bloodline. Reigns, Sikoa, and Heyman got drafted. The Usos got drafted separately, but they all ended up on the same show. If someone is doing a draft pick, say in the NFL or NBA, NHL, whatever, and they have the chance to take multiple people with one pick rather than splitting them up into 2 or 3 picks, what sense does that make to do multiple picks? So then you got other champions. NXT were all eligible in the draft. The NXT Women's Tag Team Champions got drafted
And the number 1 contenders.
to the main roster, and they defended the belts against another team that also got drafted. What sense does that make? Where's the consistency in the match? What chance do the contenders have if they're all getting drafted?
And they got drafted to different brands, right?
Yes, they got drafted to different brands.
Yeah.
But then, the NXT Tag Champs said they're going to defend the belts across all 3 brands.
Yes.
No other champions do that now. The WWE Women's Tag Champions don't defend across all 3 brands.
Oh, yeah, they're taking it with them.
They're taking it with them.
Yeah, they're taking the belts with them.
And then the last thing is this thing
Give
about,
everybody a belt.
The last thing is this thing
Undisputed.com. Get a belt.
about free agents. Anyone who was not drafted, who was eligible to be drafted and didn't get picked, they automatically became free agents, so they can show up on any show they want. But Brock Lesnar negotiated to be a free agent. MVP negotiated for Omos to be a free agent. So is being a free agent a good thing or a bad thing? There's no consistency. There's no logic. When you're working with a scripted sports event, you got to get fans interested. Fans have to be able to suspend their disbelief in order to enjoy the show. And in order to do that with a scripted event like this, you need to pay attention to the details. You need to have consistency, and you need to have this go across the board. Now, this may be an oversimplification. I could be totally wrong here, but as far as I'm concerned, Vince McMahon needs to fuck off. Like, no matter what they say now, ultimately, Vince McMahon has the last say in everything. Whether he's involved in the day-to-day operations, day-to-day decisions, whatever. He makes the final decision. And after ruling with an iron fist all these decades, the writers, the producers, they are still working with the idea, whether Vince is there or not.
Yeah, they don't know what to do.
They're working to please an audience of one. So as far as I'm concerned, Vince McMahon needs to get far away from the wrestling business. He had his time. There's no doubt in a business mindset, he is a genius. But when it comes to creative, the last 20 plus years has shown he has been driving away audiences and making for less consistent and logical storytelling. So it's time for Vince to go and time for them to get back to good storytelling. That's all I got. You guys discuss.
Well, I think why they separated them, if I had to guess, is because they needed more picks. You know what I mean? To make it look like they're drafting more people.
They have plenty of
Yeah, I would agree. I'm trying to find a valid solution or a valid idea as to why they're separating them. Is it because Rhea, as a women's champion, she should be on her own
It's a highlight.
statue and not part of a group? I don't know.
Sort of in line with that, we talked about consistency. If you were looking at some of the draft cards that popped up on the screen, some of them were like ridiculous. When the Brawling Brutes, let's think about who's in the Brawling Brutes here for a second, got drafted, it literally just listed their names. Just the 3 of them. Meanwhile, you got other people, and it's like a baseball card. It's got everything but their batting average and their social security
championship
number on it.
runs.
I mean, the most
Royal
obscure,
Rumble,
ridiculous
whatever.
Royal King of the Ring winner from 5 years ago. You got that listed, but then you got a guy like Sheamus and the pedigree that he's got underneath him, and you just say, Sheamus? It's like you can tell that they're playing favorites. Rhea Ripley's one of their favorites, right? They're trying to make some of the new up and coming NXTs. I don't know why the Pretty Deadly is considered one of the favorites, but they got drafted up out of NXT. I mean, there is, to your point, there is like an imbalance, not just in volume, but I think in character. It seems like Raw is very babyface heavy. We're gonna have to see some heel turns, in my opinion. And the heels on here can't even get heat. I mean, looking through this list right now, I mean, who are the heels? Cody Rhodes, Becky Lynch, Imperium. Okay, they're heels. Matt Riddle, Drew McIntyre, The Miz. Everyone's saying The Miz is a heel. Is The Miz a heel? Yeah, I don't think so. Shinsuke Nakamura, Indy Hartwell, Viking Raiders. Okay, they're heels right now. They're heels. Dexter Lumis, Candice LeRae, like Natalia. Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green. Okay,
Natalia got on her Instagram today and said that, yeah, I'm on SmackDown, but you'll see me wherever you
I'll go
feel
wherever.
like wrestling.
Seth Rollins, like ZKO.
But it almost goes back to what we
Judgment
talked
Day.
about almost on my rant a couple weeks ago, is that there's just no one explaining this stuff.
Exactly.
Like, it's just like, oh, it's just done. The NXT tags can just go anywhere they want to go. And who made that decision? Like, who? Is it a TV director? Is it a network director? Is it Adam Pearce? Is it Vince McMahon? Real Vince? Character Vince? Like, who is it? Like, who is making those decisions? And that's where it comes down. It's like, there's no one to explain stuff. The announcers are going, oh, well, you know what? He negotiated his own free agent status. Cool. With who? With who? Who's running Raw? Who's running SmackDown?
But
who's doing it?
Here's the thing, though. This is what's been proven my point for the last couple of weeks now. Is you got so many titles. You know, guys, Raw is the flagship WWE program. So what I look at this, you know what they did? They took everybody who's drawing them money right now and put them on Raw. And everybody else got sent to SmackDown to be forgotten.
Bloodline?
Dude,
I think there's something
they
to
killed
it.
themselves after WrestleMania without dropping the title to Cody.
Well, yeah, but they've made it very clear that he's going to hold the title.
Yeah, but no one cares.
And
Everyone's going to
Sikoa's-
care about that big new belt.
That depends on who they put it on. Clearly, they're going to put it on Cody.
But
I don't think anyone. Does
I
anyone argue with
really
that?
think no one cares about Roman Reigns right now.
Rollins. They
No
can
one
put on
cares about
Rollins.
Roman
I
Reigns?
really think nobody cares about his championship right now.
I don't know if nobody cares, but his stock is going down since he's only part-time, sure. But when he shows up, it's a big deal.
And that's where WWE has a problem. Like, why are we've talked about this numerous times already. That obviously something happened before WrestleMania, or a day or two before, or whatever. That Roman walked out with the titles that no one thought he was going to. They've now put themselves in a corner where they have a guy who's not wrestling full time. And we talked about this last week. I asked you before the show that the Triple H call out Roman Reigns a few times and take shots at him. And then you came in and recap and said he did.
It wasn't direct. He was kind of like,
But
this champ can be defended anytime.
But what's the point of that? Why is Triple H coming out and saying that? Is it part of a future storyline? Is it part of a, when I saw that happen, I thought of a situation where Roman's going to show up and take that third title as well, like just to kind of really like embarrass it. But like, I don't understand why they put themselves in this corner.
I wouldn't be surprised if they do go that route at some point.
But why would Triple H saying it? Either Triple H is meaning it, or Triple H is making a statement on it, or B, it's all about a future storyline. And why would he be saying that? And the only future storyline that could be is that Roman's going to show up and conquer that title as well. And go, now I'm fighting. I don't know, but why say it? You know what I mean?
I think what he's saying is Reigns is going to keep the Universal Championship,
Right.
and this is the championship that we're going to make you care about.
Yes,
Because this is the
that's
one that's
exactly
gonna
what I
be
was going to
defended
say.
every week.
This is
one
the
that
new
you're gonna
title. It's going to be on Raw now.
It's the
This
World
is the
Championship.
prize.
I disagree with all that. That's what the titles people should get. Like those titles that are already in place, the Universal World Heavyweight title that have been in place for what, 10, 15 years now? Those are the titles that everyone...
You can disagree with it all you want, but it's what they're doing.
I know.
It's what's been
It goes
happening.
into the inconsistency. It doesn't make any sense. Like, no one knows what,
As far as the free agents are concerned, it makes a lot of sense to me. You got 2 or 3 guys in there that you can bring in to beat the crap out of anybody, that can come in like a wrecking ball and destroy everything. Omos and Brock Lesnar, and you got a bunch of jobbers in there. If you need somebody to just throw in there that everyone's going to forget about 10 seconds,
Yep.
if you need to build somebody up or make somebody look strong, throw Alexander at him. Throw Benjamin at him. Throw Zion Quinn at him. That's the whole purpose for that, is you're either too good to be nailed down to one brand, or you're too bad to be nailed down.
And one other thing, the draft would be a bit more interesting. I understand NXT is the developmental, but if some guys got drafted to NXT, if a Natalia goes back to NXT,
Dude, they could crush.
right.
Remember when Charlotte Flair went there?
And they could build up the young guys too.
Yeah, when
'Cause
Charlotte Flair went down.
18 people got drafted out of NXT, so now their roster is hanging on by a thread. They need to build people up again.
Right.
So you should have a couple veterans go back there.
HBK did not look happy.
Yeah.
when he was announcing those draft picks.
Right.
They made him announce
Yeah.
like 2
But
draft
that's
picks
the point of
NXT.
NXT, though. They're gonna move on. I mean, that's part of, it's a smaller brand where it should be either wrestlers that lose their way, come back down, or new ones coming up, go there to get that's what it should
exactly.
be.
That's the
and
point.
HBK should be. I mean, he should be happy that they're moving on.
But if they show that in the draft,
Right.
and they say, just pick, I don't know, Kofi Kingston for just random name. He's got drafted to NXT. Everyone who loves Kofi Kingston is going to want to watch NXT to see him.
Right. Now let's talk about the business side of the draft here. Why would Raw have so many compared to SmackDown? And I don't want to hear the third hour. We're not talking about the third hour. There's more time. Why would Raw have the names that it has compared to SmackDown? And Jeremy and I were talking about this before the show. I don't know who is going to challenge Roman Reigns on SmackDown for the title. I mean, LA Knight maybe, Bob Edge. I mean, I don't even know where to
They're not
begin
gonna
on
put him
that.
Edge. He's
Well,
not
they
hired.
won't win, but they will challenge him.
I mean, you don't put that many names on Raw unless there's a business reason for it. And we're hearing more and more about the TV talks and the money and all that. I would not be surprised if NBC Universal is making a pitch if they want it all back on the USA Network again. And either Fox may be saying, we're not interested, we're not. There's a reason why they're pulling people like Cody Rhodes, Sami Zayn, look at Seth Rollins. Look at all the people that aren't on SmackDown. You look at those two rosters, they're not balanced at all. At all. And you can say the third hour, that's the easy way out of it. Oh, it's just a third hour, they need more wrestlers. Whatever. But the reality is, star power, there's not as much on SmackDown.
They're trying to up the ratings.
They're trying to get
it's
Raw up to where SmackDown is. And I don't know if it's down, Nick Khan is talking more and more about the TV deals, and obviously that's why Vince came back. That was the whole reason why Endeavor bought them, because they all have those coming up. I can see NBC Universal really making a strong pitch, and we need our ratings up. Either A, to keep Raw on our network, or B, we want to acquire SmackDown. So why don't you just start giving us all the ratings now? And you know what I mean? There could be something to that too. That's a pretty big change in show. That's a big difference in shows.
Raw is just the flagship show, so they beefed it up.
I think it's a little embarrassing to them that they keep getting outshined by SmackDown too, by significant numbers.
Well,
Half a
you gotta
million.
remember, SmackDown is on basic cable.
Right.
SmackDown's gonna
Reaches
get
a lot
more.
eyes.
SmackDown's gonna get more. You could have the
Are we
simple.
really living in that world?
I think we are.
where
It's
the
still.
difference in viewership between Channel 6 and Channel 16 is that big. I
Uh,
mean, it's not 2001 anymore.
I do NASCAR ratings on Fox, a lot higher than ratings on FS1. They're not at all close. Basic cable is everyone has that. And it doesn't matter if you have channels 1 through 13. You know what I mean? Everyone has that. I think that I do. That accounts for at least 200,000, 300,000 of the difference between Raw and SmackDown. By the way, I didn't talk about the ratings. 1.7 for Raw, SmackDown 2.4. So out of that difference, I would say at least 300,000 is because of basic cable, basic TV.
So that still leaves 400 to 500,000 that need to be accounted. 400,000 that need to be accounted for.
But
I don't know if this roster difference is going to drive 500,000 away from one into the other, because that's really what we're talking about here.
Don't forget, they did also draft Trish Stratus. So
Yeah, it was funny. I was looking at the list after you brought that up, Dan, and there are more, Rey Mysterio, Edge. There's kind of more talent that's a little more seasoned, I think, on the SmackDown brand
Okay.
as opposed to Raw.
Right now, you got 10 seconds to answer the question. Who is leading SmackDown with no Roman Reigns there? Who's your flagship person?
Paul Heyman.
No Roman Reigns there. Who's leading that show? Why am I tuning every week to watch?
I would probably put Bobby Lashley in place of Roman Reigns.
Adam?
Fans root. Sorry, go ahead.
Bobby, you put Bobby Lashley over Edge?
Yeah, because Edge is on his way out the door.
Is Edge full time? No,
I
is he
need
wrestling
him-
full
I
time?
need him putting my young guys over. Same thing with, I'd love to put LWO out there, but Ray should be putting guys over. I can't, I'd love to put LWO up there. I mean, or for the women, I think Bianca Belair obviously is a great name. Charlotte Flair, a great name. I mean, from the women's side, it's much stronger. Selena Vega, who I'm pretty sure they're going to put the title on
You think so?
on Saturday night.
Are you serious?
I think they're going to put the
All
title
right,
on
we'll
her.
talk about predictions later.
Who are you
What
picking,
question?
Adam?
For SmackDown?
Solo Sikoa.
Yeah,
They're pushing him.
Is he
I mean, they
really-
got a couple
I'm really,
options. It's not deep.
but yeah, it's,
I mean,
Matt, who you have?
what are you going to do?
they got AJ Styles on there. They
You're
got
phenomenal.
They got Bobby Lashley, and fans really like LA Knight. I'd say one of those three.
LA
And I think a good villain could be Austin Theory. I think he could be a good
I like him with
heel
Bill.
on that show.
Him and LA Knight, they separated those two. I think that was a mistake. They should have.
Maybe they're looking at building characters on SmackDown.
That's
you know what I mean?
that's
Like
what it
this
looks
is
like.
going to be, the rating. We have a better option for getting more ratings on SmackDown. Why don't we put people on SmackDown that we need to build? I mean, you could argue who. I mean, the argument's completely different on Raw. Who's not going to lead your show? Like who do you? I mean, look at all of them. Finn Balor, Cody Rhodes, Becky Lynch, Drew McIntyre.
I mean, nobody inside.
Shinsuke, Rhea Ripley.
You couldn't have Finn Balor do it, but there are a lot of names on there that you could have, and I think, of course, Cody Rhodes is going to do it. Yeah, I don't know.
All right, we've bled this topic dry. We all agree the draft sucks. Moving on. Let's talk about AEW and how they're doing with selling out Wembley Stadium. So we heard, I think it was last week, we discussed they had 50,000 plus pre-register for the pre-sale on tickets.
Yep.
As of today, I believe they have sold 43,000 tickets in the pre-sale.
Should have dropped a little bit.
No,
Well, these are actual sales,
Yeah,
though.
these are actual sales.
They don't
And
go on sale till tomorrow.
5.7
the regular
million.
sale. Yep.
Yeah, this is all pre-sale.
So what are we thinking? How we think you're gonna? I mean,
they're going to fill Wembley.
They're gonna sell out.
They're
You
gonna
think
fill
so?
Wembley.
If you are a wrestling fan, doesn't matter what brand, you don't get an opportunity to see too many of them. Over there, they're gonna go to anything.
Yeah,
I really think.
I thought I was gonna have to argue with you guys. on that.
No, it's a brand new thing over there in England. So yeah, it's gonna sell out. Now the question,
WWE has a huge presence over there.
yeah, so
But they've never done the stadium. They've only done the arena.
But again,
We'll see how long until that changes.
I should say they haven't done it since 1992. The one other wrestling show that was there was SummerSlam.
Okay, but AEW is something new. It's something different. It's gonna draw. Now the question you should be asking yourself: if they go back, do they do the same thing again?
Right.
Is this a one-time novelty that?
I agree. Let's see them try to do that again a year from now, and see
do
if that.
they go back and do the same
No,
business?
hang on. Tony Khan is going to burn the house down. This is going to be an epic show. I
He
know
should.
it's
He should take
very
advantage of
early,
it.
Absolutely.
But short of everybody dying in a horrific plane crash, this is going to be the show of the year. This is going to be better than WrestleMania. He's going to lay all his cards out on the table. Because you're right. If selling out Wembley's one thing, right? Anybody can do that. But putting on the show, he's laying the groundwork for the future. WWE's already cleared all the shrubbery away. They've already built between NXT UK, Clash in the Castle, is that what it's called?
Yep.
Clash in the Castle? Like all the different events that they've been doing in recent years. They just shut down NXT UK, but they've cleared the land. He's going to come in now and he's going to show them what amazing prime time, big time wrestling is that isn't linked.
Well,
to
Jeremy's
this.
very
This is-
optimistic on this.
This is
event.
going to be
I
the
think
UK
this-
WrestleMania.
I
Okay.
mean, I'd be keeping all my powder dry if I were Tony Khan.
But
This is the Tony
That's
Khan.
great, but my point is, can he do it again?
I want to go. I want to go
That's
off
what
what Adam
yes.
said. Now throw in. Let's say they do it again a year from now. Now throw in a WWE event in the middle of that. Now people have a bunch of different things to go to Are they going to
Guys.
AEW because it's the only option?
England is a country of like 60 million people that you can drive across in 5 hours.
But my point is,
It's not like you got to go way out of your way to get to the main event.
if AEW, and I'm not an AEW fan, sorry a minute, okay, but if
You're
AEW showed up at the Civic Center, I go to it just to watch a wrestling event. That's what I'm saying. Is that what's taking place over there? Are people just going to it because it's an option to go watch a wrestling
I
pay-per-view?
think that's a big part of it.
I mean, and like what Adam's saying, if it's a bad show or WWE throws one in there 6 months from now and there starts to be more options, is AEW going to see that decline because they're not the hot item over there anymore, or there's so many different things to go to? Can they keep that momentum every year going? Because he's going to try it again. You know he's going to go there again next year.
But,
He's going to try it.
I mean,
Why
that
wouldn't
also
he?
goes to play just how much can change in a year. So yeah, you throw everything in the kitchen sink at this one show. Are you gonna have that or something equivalent to that for the next time? Are you gonna have the possibility of bringing a Bill Goldberg in for the last time? Are you gonna have CM Punk to drive his circus through 1 year from now? Are you gonna have the same? MJF, is he gonna still be around?
I mean,
It's
you tell me, Matt. What do you think? Could they have sold out Wembley a year ago? With the storylines, with the talent, with what they had going for them?
I think so.
They had CM Punk a year ago.
Yeah, I think they could. Because, one, the Khans already have a presence in the UK. They have a football team. So the fans over there know who they are. Second, you mentioned NXT UK. WWE completely wiped out all of the UK indies,
Yeah.
setting up NXT UK. So the UK and Europe in general is probably pretty hungry for wrestling in general. So yeah, I think they could have sold out a year ago.
Not to mention, you're very close to France, the Netherlands, Belgium. I mean, going over to England, it's like you spend $30, $50 on a plane ticket, and you can puddle jump over to England. So, I mean, you're not literally just talking about London. You're not just talking about England. You're talking about the whole of continental Europe that can get there in no time flat. I'll bet you Imperium has a fan group from Austria there.
No,
Gunther has his own.
Or, sorry,
company.
I'm talking about WWE, but my point is taken. You guys get my point. Like
That said-
it's huge, and they're hungry for it. And they don't have to put on an amazing show, but they will put on an amazing show.
Oh, see, I disagree with that statement. I was about to say, that said, he needs to put on the best show he's put on there. At this type of stage, that type of attendance, anything else outside of a surprise show is going to be a failure, in my opinion. And they have the wrestlers to do it. They have some storylines to do it. They have the talent to put on an epic show. Now, can you all agree there needs to be one major return or debut at that event?
Sure.
There needs to be something coming out of that show that I'm talking about. Rather it's some kind of title change, a screw over on a title, someone debuting or returning, CM Punk coming back, whatever it may be. There needs to be something coming out of that show that's going to be, holy shit, did you watch AEW? Anything else from that? I'm sorry. I wouldn't call that a... And Tony Khan likes to make everything huge. I mean, I think he has to put on... Him selling the way he sold the show, through him talking about it, he has to put on a good show. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of pressure to put on a very, very good show.
And I will say this, he plans everything out in advance. I mean, they showed you on All Access. I mean, he's got this whole...
Yeah, he's got a grid laid out.
But has he had a show this big, though? Let's see, can he really do it? This is the big test.
You can do it, man. It's the same thing. You don't have to... You just need to turn the knob
but,
a little bit.
here's the thing, though. It's like, because it's brand new, because it's AEW, you're gonna. It's like you're gonna have the crowd. That's my point. If this show sucks, or it just doesn't relate to the fans, does it happen again? I don't think it does.
Maybe not in a stadium, but they'll go over there.
Well, of course, yeah. Anyone can go over there and do smaller stadiums, but I mean, Wembley Stadium. I mean, we're talking like this is Madison Square Garden.
Except with 90,000 people.
Exactly, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know what I mean. It's like
it's prestige.
Yeah. So I mean, let's go back to 1984. If WrestleMania is not a Grand Slam, do we have it 40 years later? So basically, this is what Tony Khan's looking at right now. With The Rock and wrestling and everything that was going on with Hogan, on MTV and all that, and all the hype that they brought into the original WrestleMania. They had the crowd. New York was a huge wrestling town, still is. You had your crowd. You just had to knock the pay-per-view out of the park, which they did. That's what Tony Khan's got to do. He's gonna have the crowd.
Okay, let me ask you this before we move on. If they don't sell out, would it be considered a failure?
Depends on how much they sell.
But how much is it?
what's the number?
90,000.
90. Yeah.
And they had pre-sold 43,000.
Mm-hmm.
They're halfway there.
I'd about if they get over 80,000, I would say it's a success.
Anything under 80?
I don't think they sell out. I think they go. I think they go 73.
I think if they break 80, we can call that a success.
73,000. That's my number.
I'll take a bet. They're going to sell out.
Clash at the Castle was in Cardiff in Principality Stadium. WWE sold 62,000. I think if they do better than that, it's a success.
That was a year ago?
Not even.
8 months ago?
Yeah, something like that. But
Yeah,
we'll see.
I think they're going to crush it.
Come August, we'll see what happens.
Have they done anything over there before? AEW
No, this is
in
their
England?
first time. They
Which
were
is
going
why,
to, but
there's
then
a good chance they're going
Right.
to sell it because it's the first time ever.
I think they can. I think they can do it again. I think they have to do it
Again, I think rather they sell out or don't sell out, they must put on the show of their life.
And here's the thing. That's not. I'm not saying. I hope they do.
Mm-hmm.
Competition for the WWE is nothing but good for the world of wrestling. But we're talking about they're about to make a step to be the legit competition if they pull this off. Right now they're like, it's like, yeah, you got kind of cute.
Right.
We know you're there, but it's not like shitting my pants. WCW's kicking my ass.
Well, we all want them to
You know.
succeed. Like,
Absolutely.
let me put it this way.
Even Paul Heyman says they're very legitimate.
Let me put it this way. If
I'm
there
not
was
saying
only
they're not
WWE
legitimate.
right now, would we have a show?
No.
We couldn't talk about WWE the whole. I mean, if there was only WWE, we would not have a show because there would be nothing to talk about. That's how bad it was before AEW came along.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens in August. Let's go on to our last topic of discussion here. This Saturday is the Backlash Premium Live
WrestleMania.
event.
Why did you have to bring
WrestleMania.
that
Are they
up?
still calling it that?
Yes, they
WrestleMania
are.
Backlash.
Jeez, sorry, WrestleMania Backlash. Let's talk about some predictions here. So we got, as of time of recording, we have 7 matches on the card.
It's just so bad. I don't even
It's
know.
not
Like,
good.
you know what? If WWE's not gonna put any time into it, why should we put any time into it?
Is there a card in the last 3 years that's worse than this card? Is there a card that's worse than this card?
When was this announced? Like in general, like when was the pay-per-view like confirmed to happen?
Oh,
Did they?
it was before WrestleMania.
I'm guessing they backed themselves into a corner with us, and they don't really want to do it.
They've
But
been
now they
doing it
have
for
to do it
years.
because like it's like, but
Yeah.
like. It is poorly planned off of Matt's rant. It is just so bad.
I read a report that said that they got paid by Puerto Rico to have the show there.
That's right.
I
It's
didn't read
happening
that.
in
Yeah,
Puerto
that's
Rico.
true.
So how much did they make? $1.5 million. Which to me sounds like nothing. I mean, I'd
That's
love
it.
to see what Philadelphia
Yeah,
paid for us.
Brock Lesnar's getting paid more than that.
Right. Basically, you've covered. I don't even know who said Sheamus' salary for the year.
Yeah.
With that.
There's absolutely nothing on this that's gonna make me want to watch this pay-per-view. Sorry, nothing.
So are we just gonna go around the horn?
Yeah, might as well. First match, Brock Lesnar versus Cody Rhodes. Who's winning?
Cody.
It would be smart of them to put Cody over, but I got a feeling we're going to see a Suplex City match, and it's going to be Brock Lesnar.
I think Cody goes over, but I think there's funny business.
I agree.
I think there's
Yeah.
a low blow.
I'm with you on that.
Something, some cheating from the outside.
It's not gonna end clean.
Nope.
All right. 6-man tag. Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens,
For the
Matt
belt.
Riddle. For the new Trios
For
titles
the new Trios title.
versus the
The
Usos
loser gets
and
the
Solo.
SmackDown Trios title.
That's right. They're on Raw now, and they have the SmackDown titles. No one knows what's happening with those. Again, consistency. Zayn, Owens, and Riddle versus Usos and Solo. Who's winning?
The titles aren't on the line here.
No,
Right?
it's a 6-man.
The Usos. And Sicko. I think the bloodline goes over.
More DQs.
Yes, there's definitely gonna be some funny business in this one. Usos winning for sure.
I think this is where you finally see Jey Uso gets outed.
Oh, he double crosses.
That'll be
So I think this is where you see, Jey Uso gets
that
outed.
could actually be interesting.
So,
could
They have my attention.
So I think Sammy, Riddle, and Owens wins, and the twist is Jey Uso getting outed from the bloodline.
I would like that.
That would be good. All right. Raw Women's Championship, Bianca Belair versus Io Sky. SmackDown's Bianca Belair versus Io Sky.
Yeah, wait, where was Io Sky drafted to?
Damage Control. She's on SmackDown
She's
too.
on SmackDown. Okay,
So
good.
both of them are on SmackDown fighting for the Raw Women's Championship. How's this one gonna go?
I think Belair wins. I don't think Io Sky's big enough
This one's a
for,
tough
them,
one.
for them to
I
risk
realize
putting the
there's
belt
no
on.
women free agents.
Because this title, this championship is stale right now.
Yeah.
So this
Yeah.
is an opportunity to take the belt off of her, but I don't think they're that smart enough to do it.
I think Io deserves it.
I think if there wasn't a draft, Io would win it. Yeah, but because there is, Belair's gonna keep it, and then they'll do belt swap with Rhea.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think Belair goes over. Damage Control cannot buy a win.
No, they're gonna break up soon, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Ooh, next one, San Juan Street Fight. Bad Bunny versus Damian Priest. I
Who
wonder
gives
how
a
this
fuck?
one's-
But there is no way Bad Bunny loses this match.
Yeah,
There is no way.
Be very surprised. LWO is gonna come out.
There is no way.
I will be taking a piss during this match.
You know what?
Tell me who
I'll go
wins.
Damian Priest wins. I'll switch it up.
Okay.
I think this is gonna be a pay-per-view of funny business. Is what I think it's
If
gonna
Bad
be.
Bunny tears his quad, Snoop Dogg's going to come out of nowhere and hit Damian Priest with the people's elbow. Okay? There's no way he's losing this.
SmackDown Women's Championship. Raw's Rhea Ripley versus SmackDown's Zelina Vega.
They're
Ripley.
putting me over. I believe it.
You really think so? I think the only reason they would do that is because she's on SmackDown.
Of course.
But then, what do you do with the Raw Championship? That's
they're
my only-
in Puerto Rico. She's on SmackDown. Judgment Day is going to Raw. I think it makes sense.
No,
It's-
I don't think
For
you
Rhea
rock-
to lose it?
Yeah, I don't think.
Oh
rock-
God! Not
you
after
don't-
that. Not after the.
They're in San Juan, Puerto Rico.
You, dude,
Still, I mean, it's
dude,
bad timing.
You don't rock,
You know what it
you
is?
don't rock the Rhea boat right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say you don't want to fuck with that.
You don't
She
rock
doesn't
that.
need it. She's getting enough heat.
If this
You
was
don't rock
AEW, I would agree with you. But WWE does not like to put people over in their hometown. They always lose.
Yeah, you don't, and it with
Ever since the screw job.
Pretty much.
And with how high
Rhea's flying right now, you don't rock that boat.
I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a very good match either way.
Oh, well, that's a different discussion. I mean,
Right.
we can talk about every match on here, good or not. I can probably
No,
say.
the
Brock
six-man tag
Lesnar's
should
gonna
be
wrestle
good.
more than 5
I think
minutes.
it'll be a
Yeah,
good
that'd
match.
be good.
And Bianca Belair and Io Sky could be a good match. And frankly, my standards are so low that I think the Bad Bunny match.
Well, yeah, he is
He's-
athletic.
There's gonna be something funny there's gonna be something cool that does happen in that match.
Yeah.
for sure.
But I think
He's going to do a Canadian
No,
Destroyer on Finn Balor or something.
I'm gonna hold on. I think Vega goes over. LWO gets a title, adds a little bit of legitimacy. I think a title swap is super lame, so I'm gonna go with Vega.
All right. U.S. title: Austin Theory versus Bronson Reed versus Bobby Lashley.
There is no way they're taking the title off of Austin Theory.
And Bronson Reed, I believe, was drafted to Raw.
No
The others are on
way.
SmackDown.
Not that really matters for this particular title, right?
Well, IC titles on Raw now.
Is on Raw. That's true. Yeah, I don't think they take it off Austin Theory either.
Yeah, I agree.
They gotta keep him, and I like him having it, so it makes.
I
sense.
think he's great. I think he's a great heel.
It's a good spot.
I think if it goes to anybody, it's going to Bronson Reed. It's not going to Lashley.
that would be a step down for Lashley.
Would it though?
I think they're pushing Bronson Reed too hard.
Okay.
So I think it. I really don't know. I think either Austin Theory's going to get it or Bronson Reed's going
All right.
to take.
And the last match, which has probably had the most build of any of these, Seth Rollins versus Omos. Seth Rollins didn't even know this match was happening. He found out at the same time we did.
I have an interesting theory behind this. So everybody's saying Seth Rollins is being angled for the new World Championship, which I think would be cool. I think Saturday's match will determine that. Either because Omos has been jobbing for some guys lately. He did a pretty big job for
Lesnar.
at
Yeah.
WrestleMania. But then again, I don't see how he jobs to Seth Rollins. He's a foot and a half taller than him. So I think if they put Rollins over, they're clearly either angling him for the title or for a very strong run against a guy like Cody Rhodes for the title. If he loses, then I think it's going to be a job, and they're going to try and put Omos over because he's going to be a free agent. So he's the kind of guy that's a wrecking ball.
This one's easy. Seth Rollins.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's me too.
So I do have one question. Now that the draft is done and you were just talking about it, does anyone want to change their picks for the new World Heavyweight Champion? Now that we know who's on Raw?
Yeah, I was going to ask
now that because Jeremy was just kind of talking. Anyone?
Yeah,
I'd
Finn
love to see
Balor's.
Finn,
oh no,
but
he is on Raw. Yep.
He's on Raw, but I don't think they're going to get
It's going to be Cody Rhodes.
Or Seth Rollins.
Oh, I want to change mine.
Really?
I have two picks. I would love to see Xavier Woods win it.
That's not.
What was Cody Rhodes screaming
know.
at Brock Lesnar on Monday night? What was he screaming at him?
Make me earn it.
It was something like that.
Make me earn it.
Who was saying that?
Cody Rhodes was in this very confusing, I'm a heel, but I'm not a heel. I've lost my magical security destroying powers.
Oh, I don't think he's a heel.
So you can hold me back. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, he's not a heel, but they're angling. Heels destroy security guards.
The idea.
Heels.
They're trying to show his
ambush.
anger. They're trying to
Heels
show
ambush competitors.
that he can lose his cool. Is what they're
Right.
trying to
Meanwhile,
show.
Brock is smiling and backing up. It's like they're both trying to out-heel each other.
I think Cody Rhodes is too easy of a pick for the new title. I really do. Just like everyone thought he was just going to beat Roman Reigns, and it was too easy of a thing. I think they want it. I think they want their moment with Cody Rhodes to be authentic, not like, oh, he didn't win this title, so he deserves that one. I don't think they're gonna give it to Cody. I think Finn Balor's a top pick now, especially now that Rhea has the belt. I think that whole stable can make a big presence on Raw.
I would love to see Finn Balor with the title for
And I also have a little. I would like to see Xavier Woods win. He did beat Roman Reigns, the other one that no one likes to talk about.
I will say I did have a tweet related to this.
Disqualification.
And I said, they say time flies when you're having fun, and I just realized that it's been a full year since Cody Rhodes returned to WWE, so I guess time flies pretty much no matter what then. So,
Well, on that note, we'll be watching Backlash, I guess, and
Unfortunately,
we'll tell you how good the show was next week. But as is the case with AEW Dark and Elevation, our time is up. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at
Wrestle with Biz on Facebook, Wrestling with Business.
thank you like, share, subscribe our videos on YouTube and on Twitch. And if you keep watching, we'll keep wrestling with the business.